It's new gear day. So for the past year or so, I've been using the Line 6 HX Stomp XL exclusively as my only pedal and effects unit with my band Morgan in the Missed Opportunity, and I'm running this bad boy into that Blues Junior back there. Recently, we added a few songs that required some drop tunings, dropped, E flat, or even drop D tuning. So I decided I'm gonna add the Digitech drop pedal to my board. After watching the rig rundown from John Osborne and the brothers Osborne, John basically said, yeah, I can't tell when we're in E flat or not. I just have to have the tuner pedal on right before my tuner, so I know I'm in the right key when I play the song, but I can't tell if I'm using a pedal or not. Hey, if it's good enough for John Osborne, it's good enough for me. So I decided I'm gonna add this to my board. Now, up until then, I've only used the Line 6 as my pedal board, so I didn't really have a board. It was just one pedal that was plugged in, and then my guitar to the amp. And I figured if I'm gonna be adding the drop pedal to my rig, I might as well build a full-on pedal board and add some other fun toys that I've been meaning to check out. And since this is a country channel, that's the Hotwire Brent Mason guitar pedal and the Paisley Deluxe Drive, both by Wampler. Now, the great thing about the Line 6 HX Stomp is it has really good amp modelers. It has the same technology that you'll find in the Helix floor-mounted version and the rack-mounted version, just with a little less processing power than the rack mount and floor model units. Now, that Blues Junior back there is actually my first tube amp that I bought earlier this year for my new band, along with the Line 6 HX Stomp. Before then, I've been using that Fractal Axe-Fx 2 XL Plus since 2017. I've been living in apartments in the DC area, so cranking up a tube amp has never been in the cards for me. So I've been using the digital amp modelers for years. And the one thing that I found with amp modelers are, yes, they sound great. No, they don't give you that tube amp feel. I understand it now. But what I have found is if you add an analog like distortion pedal or a boost pedal or an overdrive pedal before the amp modelers, they sound so much more and feel so much more like the real amps. So today we're gonna be building out the ultimate pedal board to go with the Line 6 HX Stomp. And I'm gonna be building this so I could use this as a pedal board to go through that Blues Junior, or use the amp models in the HX Stomp and go through a Seymour Duncan Power Drive 200 and a 2x12 cabinet. So let's open these packages, go through the other gear that I'm gonna be using on this ultimate Line 6 HX Stomp pedal board. Let's get into it. So the first thing we have is candy. First up is the classic 108 Fuzz Mini. And I know I said, you mainly play country music here, but I do need some fuzz for my classic rock band, so we're gonna have fuzz, all right? We're gonna have a little fun with some fuzz. Now, I've been using the Line 6 HX Stomp as my tuner, but since I'm gonna be adding the drop D pedal, I wanna have a pedal tuner that's right afterwards, so I know it has the most accurate reading from running through the cable. So I got the Polytune 3 Noir by TC Electronics. I bought all these pedals by myself with my own money, not sponsored in any way, just FYI. Next up is the Ernie Ball VP Junior volume pedal. Now, I love Jimmy Herring from the band Widespread Panic, Aquarium, Rescue Unit, and some of his solo albums, The Dead. He's rocking volume pedals all day long. Incredible. He gets a lot of pedal steel licks with the volume pedal. So actually, that's why I got it, because of Jimmy Herring's pedal steel licks. So typically not really a country pedal, or at least you don't really hear about it. Maybe you hear people, with a Telecaster, woo! But I decided, you know what? I don't like doing that. I want to focus on playing. I'll use my foot. Be a foot rocker guy from the volume pedal. So, volume pedal, going on the pedal board. Chocks power supply. I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. No more daisy chains. So, chocks, and this is the 10 one. Hook up all the pedals. Putting them all together with George L. solderless. I know people claim that solderless is not nearly as good as soldered. I don't have a soldering iron. I don't know how to solder. George L. is good enough for me. And the main enchilada is the Tempo Duo 24 by Temple Boards. It's gonna house everything on here. This is actually my second temple board rig. I like these the best. We're gonna go over the different ways to attach this to your board because you don't use dual lock or like Velcro like you do other boards. So a soft case to go with it so I can carry it around a little bit easier. This might be a little bit harder to do here, holding it in my living room. So let's go to the dining room / countertops and put this thing all together. All right, so now that we have everything unboxed, the pedal board is ready to go. First thing we need to do is lay out the pedals. Now, this pedal board system, the Temple Audio Board, uses these quick release plates, and you should be able to see over the overhead camera. What you do is you take back this adhesive and you simply tape it down right there. Some pedals you need to remove these rubber things, some of them you don't, like this one. And then you unscrew this. And as you can see, it kind of fits on the grid. So you have 4 different plates, 5th one in the middle. So you select where you want it to go. I'm just using this as an example. And let's just say right there. You gotta line them up. And this is where the planning really comes in. So let's say you want to go right there. You take this on the back, and you screw it in underwater, and then it is secure. I like this system so much better than the Velcro hook and loop system. It's a lot more sturdy. You can change things out relatively easy. I always kind of get a little anxious when I'm pulling up Velcro, not knowing if it's going to pull out the sticker off the back of the pedal or if it's going to actually remove the Velcro. Anyways, I like this system so much better. You got things like a medium-sized plate and then a small-sized plate for such like a mini pedal, right? So that fits right there. Oop, right there. And then you also have large plates. I didn't get any large plates. I figured I could just use 2 mini plates instead of a large plate for some of the larger pedals. And what I like about this, unlike the Velcro, when you want to just use the pedal as it is, kind of hard to see here, it's flat. The way that it's designed is you can take it off the board, you remove the little thumb screw, and it's flat, so then you can use this as like a normal pedal on a flat surface and not have to worry about it going like wee with the Velcro. Anyways, that is the system, the Temple Audio Boards, quick release plates. These are sweet, relatively cheap. They are a little bit more expensive than Velcro, which is somewhat of a downside, but they are a lot more sturdy in my opinion. Now, to make this country guitar rig, we are going to center everything around the Line 6 HX Stomp XL. This is the best thing I've ever purchased. This is better than the HX, I think. Maybe not in terms of sounds, but in terms of portability and use case. I use the HX in the studio, and I use this live because this is just so much easier to set up, move around. It fits on a board, unlike the rack mount. I just think it's amazing. What I'm going to be using for this primarily is amp sounds, which I'll be running through the Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200 into that Blackstar St. James 2x12. That's going to be my sound. So I'm going to get the amp tones from here and then the power and the actual final sounds there through that setup over there. And if you want to check out that setup, put a card right there in the corner for you. And then I'm going to be running my other effects like modulation effects, so like choruses and your reverbs and your delays and your tremolos. So that's what the HX Stomp is going to do. Everything else is going to come from pedals. So first up, and we're going to start with the big ones first because big ones take up more real estate. You got to figure out your layout. But the first one up is the Ernie Ball VP Junior volume pedal. I love volume pedals. Why I love volume pedals is probably has to do with Jimmy Herring and Widespread Panic. Absolutely love Jimmy Herring. If you haven't checked him out, Aquarium Rescue Unit. He's got some sick solo albums as well. I believe he was on, it's the one with Up All Night, Widespread Panic and Onwards. It's like 2005, I think. He rocks volume pedals, makes it sound a lot like a pedal steel, Jimmy Herring, and then his predecessor, Mikey also use a volume pedal. I like to run my guitars all the way up with the volume and then just use a volume pedal to adjust. That way I'm not thinking about, you know, going down and up, down and up. I can just use my foot, rock it back a little bit while I focus on playing. So that's why I love using the volume pedal. So we're gonna put that there. That's gonna be the first thing, one of the first things in our signal chain, I think. I'm not sure yet. Now next up, No Country pedal board is complete without the Paisley Deluxe pedal from Wampler. This 2-in-1 pedal has the most Paisley-esque tones you could ever get. Channel 1 is the Underdog, which is based kind of off like a Noble's ODR pedal, and then the other channel is the Brian Wampler's Paisley Drive. So combining the two, tons of tonal gain here to nail those Brad Paisley tones. I'm thinking about like right here. This is a good spot for it. I'll be accessing that pedal a lot, so you want it front and center. Next up is the Brent Mason Hot Wired pedal, also by Brian Wampler. And what's neat about this is you got an overdrive section and you got a distortion section. He is the most prolific session guitar player probably ever. I'm gonna say ever. Huge fan of Brent Mason, so you know, add a little bit more color and you know, theory here, little tonal theory here. So you got your distortion, you got some overdrive, you got the Nobles, and you got the Paisley Drive. I'm pretty set with some overdrive pedals here, so I think right there, front and center. Maybe this is overkill, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm excited about these two pedals. So yeah, move on to the next one. The last pedal before we dive into the mini pedals is the Digitech Drop. Now the drop is really cool because it will take your signal and it will drop it by semitones. So if you're an E standard and you want to play like E flat for like Guns N' Roses 80s hair metal, just set this down to one semitone, stomp it on. All of a sudden you're playing E flat even though you're not tuned to E flat, you're tuned to E standard. I first found this pedal by watching John Osborne's rig rundown from the Brothers Osborne, and he said, yeah, sometimes we play an E, sometimes we play an E flat. And I have found this pedal to be more than capable of switching those tunings on the fly, so I don't have to change my favorite guitar out. So if it's good enough for John Osborne, it's good enough for us. So that's going on there. Now let's get into the mini pedals. Mini pedals are fun because, well, they're mini. First up, we have the Polytune 3. It's the black new version by, I think it's by TC Electronics, yes. I like it, it's cool, it's slick, it's small. I'm gonna rock this after the drop pedal so I can double check to make sure if I'm in E or E flat before I go into like Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. So definitely need a tuner. I know the HX Stomp has a tuner. I just like the tuner first in the signal chain, so we bought a little mini pedal there. Next up is the MXR Classic 108 Fuzz. I already have a lot of drive on my board, but fuzzes are necessary, I think. Maybe not from a country perspective, but you know, a lot of these days, country set lists also have rock songs baked within. So crowd pleasers, some like 80s fuzz, gotta have the fuzz on there. The next up is the SP compressor by Exotic Pedals. Compressors are very important for country music, especially if you're doing some chicken picking, like Brent Mason or Brad Paisley, for instance. So that's pretty stacked front row there. But I think this is right? You know, it's enough space. I'll have to sort things out here in a little bit. So that's kind of all my tonal pedals, if you will. Now let's talk about some utilitarian pedals. First up, we have the dual switch auxiliary pedal from Rockstock. This is just going to be a way to change presets on the HX Stomp. My thought process here is individual pedals on the top row, and then here the bottom row can be like scenes. So I can have like intro, chorus, lead, or like clean, crunch, lead, or something like that. And then if I want to go like to a different setting, say like that's just like my rock setting, and go down to go to the country setting, or go up to go to, you know, a dotted eighth note delay setting or something like that. So I think I want that right there. It's gonna be interesting to see how I navigate these different pedals. It's a lot more than I was anticipating. I might have to add little risers here for that. I think this is the right setup. But first, before we do anything, we gotta talk about power supply. Power supply, I am using the Chox DC10. This has 10 outputs, that can run all 10 of these pedals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pedals with 1 to spare. This thing is a lot heavier than I anticipated. But very, very cool power supply. First things first, we gotta make sure everything lines up with the grid, and then make sure the chocks fit somewhere. I don't know where I'm gonna mount this because I have to navigate these plates and everything else. So we're gonna figure out everything first with mounting and using these quick release plates. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna string everything up with some George L cables, solderless, of course, and then we'll be off to the races. So let's do that real quick, and then let's hear some tones. So this is the third time I'm trying to finish recording this video. The first time I didn't have enough of these gold plugs because I didn't calculate properly how many I would need. I counted the pedals, not necessarily needing that every pedal needs 2 except for the first one and the last one. So, and then I forgot that the HX Stomp XL, and I believe the regular HX Stomp as well, cannot be powered by the standard chocks power supply cables. You need a specific one. So that was 2 separate instances. This is the third one. I did get the 2 cables that you need. So this one is the parallel adapter flex. It essentially combines 2 of these into one. And then you need this yellow, it is flex cable type 3 that will go into the HX Stomp. And since I was already buying something from Sweetwater, I decided, you know what? I'm using a Temple board. We might as well use one of the key features of Temple boards, and that is the modulations here on the side. And I decided to get the power one because I tried running this underneath and it didn't look nearly as good. So I decided, you know what? We're gonna do the power thing as well. So here's take 3. I'm trying to put this board together. First thing I want to do is make sure the HX Stomp will be able to be powered on by these cables. It should, because I did some research into it beforehand, but please work. My heart sank for a hot second, but it looks like it's working. It's turning on. Thank God. All right, let's put it all together now. First, I think we should do the modulation first. Let's do it. Plug this in for the power cable before you connect it because it's a little bit tricky. This video is taking me 2 weeks to film, and I thought I lost these little the clips, the little quick mount release plates things, because I took this off so I can record some other videos over the past 2 weeks, and I thought I lost these, but I actually put them in a plastic bag in a safe spot, and I forgot about it. So thank you, me, for looking out after myself, but also, dude, you didn't remember that you looked out for yourself. All right, we have everything in place. Let's go. Go in. compression pedal. Everything's in place. Let's wire it up. Bad boys, it's like a Amazon Basics computer plug, same kind of thing you use for, you know, a computer, or in this case, like an amp. Amp uses the same kind of thing. It's, you know, you've seen that before. All you do, this doesn't come with it, so you gotta buy it separately. Plug it in there. A moment of truth. It's the holiday season, so drum roll, please. Joy to the world. I feel like Clark Griswold right now. Oh, forgot to switch. Yes. All right, so now that we know everything works, the power is good, let's cable management. I use these little zip ties, little sticky zip ties by 3M. They're pretty neat. All you gotta do is peel them, stick them. Cable management. Let's do that. If you thought this was complete overkill, check out this video over here. It goes over my minimalist board with the very few amount of pedals that I think you can get anything country that you're looking for out of it. I'll see you over there, and until then, let the music play.